Hey guys, welcome to the Facebook Ad Scaling Blueprint. Today I'm going to show to you how to grow consistently without guesswork using Facebook ads. A bit intro about me. I was on my senior year of college studying computer science, trying to figure out what to do with my life. Alongside I was playing semi-professional football. Somehow I stumbled upon digital marketing, started learning everything there is about it. I went through the whole Facebook and Google literally support. I literally got hooked that to the extent that I even changed the topic of my thesis to digital marketing. Soon I started freelancing, connect with Matt, founder of an Inspire agency. So I went there from contractor, freelancer, junior, mid, senior, head of performance, currently partner at the same agency. We are a boutique agency focused on paid social. Facebook is our bread and butter. And for our clients in the past 7-8 years, I spent over $150 million on Facebook ads. We realized 3 years ago that we can scale other people businesses with Facebook ads. So we start our own brand and we hit 30 mil in our third year. So today lessons are going to be a mix of my learnings from the internal brand and from my clients. So let's dive in. We're going to cover why it's important to know your numbers, what are some most common mistakes, what's my ad account structure, why it's important to pay attention to the creatives. So let's jump in. So first of all, it's important to know your target ROAS. I had multiple clients that I asked them, hey, what's your target ROAS? They tell me, hey, I need 4. Then I do the calculation and I realize their target ROAS is just 1.7. But how to actually get to that target ROAS in Facebook? Basically, you define your net profit at the end of the day or at the end of the month. What is the money that you want to take home? You transition that or reverse engineer into contribution margin. Then you transition that into gross margin, ultimately to your MER. And then from your MER, you get to the Facebook ROAS. So basically, it could be that if you're hitting 2.7, potentially you're taking 10K home at the end. But what most people do not understand that your ROAS target can go down as you scale. So obviously you're gonna pay same when you acquire customers, whether you're spending $50 a day or $500 a day. In terms of CPA, you still need to pay that CPA. You still need to pay COGS, but your OPEX are staying the same. That means in theory, you could be profiting 25K if you're spending 500K with ROAS of 175. Or you can get that money with a 50K with a ROAS of 3. So your goal is to try to find that sweet spot where you're not getting to the point of diminishing returns. Whether you're spending more with a lower ROAS, which would potentially require you more creatives and more creative agencies that you need to onboard, or whether you want to spend less with a higher ROAS. Obviously, I always suggest spending more because that means you acquire more customers, but the goal is to try to find that sweet spot. Once you define your target ROAS, you need to understand there are only 4 metrics that are impacting your ROAS: CPM, click-through rate, AOV, and conversion rate. So this is a calculator that I built, which basically tells us, hey, if everything is average, what ROAS we would get. But if let's say here you change the CPM, you manage to drop CPM from 10 to 6, your ROAS automatically goes up. Or here your click-through rate dropped to 1.2, immediately your ROAS goes down compared to these benchmarks. So your goal is to try to understand which of these levers are easiest to improve, because sometimes you will not be able to lower CPM, but you'll be able to increase the click-through rate or increase the AOV or increase the conversion rate. So you need to figure out whether it makes sense for you to increase the conversion rate or increase the AOV. You always go by okay, what's easiest to done and what impact it would have. When you understand that there are only these 4 metrics that are impacting your ROAS, troubleshooting becomes way easier. And when we are talking about troubleshooting, this is something that I'm doing on a daily basis for all of my clients. So basically I'm inputting spend, CPM, click-through rate, and CPC are calculated. And I have this conversion rate. Basically I input these numbers and the rest is calculated. This tells me, hey, when we have a bad ROAS, let's say here, results were bad. You can see they're well below the target. I can check what's happened. Okay, click-through rate went down and conversion rate went down. So this tells me I have a problem with my ads or creatives, or potentially, for example, here I know that we turn off the offer that we had New Year offer. So when the conversion rate dropped, it also impacted because we turned off those sale ads. that affected me to pull back the budget. Even with a lower budget, I still had lower ROAS. So when you have this conditional formatting tracker, it's easy to spot the changes in your ad account, and then it's easier to troubleshoot them. So you know, okay, we need to again get some good ads, or we need to see whether it's sustainable for us to keep that offer we had with the sale. Once you realize your ad account, you need to understand your funnel. For me, Facebook ads are just a cherry on the top. They're amplifier. And it doesn't make sense to run Facebook ads until you have your funnel dialed in. So this is again a calculator that I built, which is mimicking the average user journey from the ad to the purchase. So basically the ad is first served, people click on it, they land on your website, they proceed to product page or sales page, they add to cart, they proceed to checkout, they buy with certain AOV. So basically this calculator flags me where in the funnel we have drops. So okay, click-through rate depends on the CPM, so not necessarily here it's a problem. Page is loading pretty fast, that's not a problem. People proceed to the sales page, product page, almost most of them. But huge drop is from sales page or product page to the add to cart. So basically people are not really adding to cart. So then I tell to my clients, hey, this is the first thing that you need to fix. We need to get more people to add to cart. Once we know where we need to fix, where the biggest gap is, once we fix that, our ads are immediately way more profitable just because the whole conversion rate increases. So once you dial in where the drops in the funnel is, that's what you want to fix, and this calculator helps you do that. Now that we know like how our funnel is looking like, I want to align my columns in Facebook Ads Manager to the way that the funnel really is. So basically this just allows me to track that drops in the funnel, because the ad is served, people watch the ad, people click on the ad, they go to the website. So I usually suggest to most of my clients and people that I consult to set up these columns, so it's an easy thing to track the drops in the funnel. Another thing that's related to numbers before we jump into other section, I know this is maybe a bit tiring, but it's super important. When you're running on different attribution settings, you'll get different results. So for example, this is a screenshot from one of our clients on a different attribution settings. You can see the same amount of spend. Just by looking at different attribution settings, you get different ROAS. And the difference is huge, from 1.56 to 2.55. So that means basically if I'm gonna start running some different attribution settings, let's say if I'm running on 7-day click, 1-day view, but then I decide to run only on 7-day click, I need to expect that no way 7-day click can beat this 7-day click, 1-day view. I need to understand the difference between these. So like to make the maximum example, if you're starting running on 1-day click and you get ROAS of, let's say 1.8, you would think, hey, but this is like below my target and below my numbers in 7-day click, 1-day view. But when you actually understand that the conversion multiplier, which is a difference between the 7-day click, 1-day view and 1-day click, is 1.63 in this case, if you get 1.8, that would probably result in 2.8 on 7-day click, 1-day view. So even though it looks better in verse size, it's actually better down the road, and it has way bigger incremental impact. So if you're going to test different attribution settings, you need to understand you cannot treat them equally, and just by dividing this to get that conversion multiplier is super helpful. Okay, one additional things in terms of the numbers that I want to cover, which is also really important, is that for most of my clients that are selling multiple products or collections, we create the custom conversions. Basically, that allows us to track when people bought specific product. Basically, you go to Pixel Helper, you find the product ID, you create a purchase custom conversion based on purchase, where event parameter is content ID, and you paste this. So this is also great for dropshippers, because when they test the new product, this event is fired no matter what ad you're running. So for example, this is an example for the 9-figure brand Audit that I run ads. We had custom conversion for each of the different products. And for example, let's say here, out of 18 purchases that we were advertising one pattern, we could realize that people actually bought a lot of these other products. So potentially sometimes when you're validating a new product, if you're a dropshipper, it could happen that people are clicking on your ad about new product that you're testing, but they're buying your OG product, the product that's already on the website. This is a great example to actually understand what people are buying after what product, And if you have a specific ROAS target per specific product, you need to understand that not necessarily people are buying this product unless you have an isolated landing page for them. But this is a great example where like people click on one ad, but they actually bought like 10 different patterns. Okay, now let's dive into the most mistakes. So most frequent mistakes that I'm seeing in the audits, and I probably do like 2-3 audits a week of the Facebook ad accounts. So first one is not focused on the creatives. We know that Angle is doing the targeting nowadays, that you don't have to be super specific with all the interest audiences that you're gonna narrow. But it still pains me when like people are testing different interests. It's good to test different interests, but only when you have a winning ad. Your first testing campaign should be creative testing campaign. That kind of like goes aligned with what I just mentioned. Just launching without any hypothesis would not get you anywhere. So throwing spaghetti over the wall is not really testing. What I like to do is using isolation effect. Basically, if I'm testing creative, I have the same landing page, ad copy, headline, call to action. I'm just testing variation of the creatives. When it's a video, it's mostly hook. When it's an image, it's mostly variation, text style, or like a different layout. When I have super similar variation, then I use dynamic creative or flex ads, but usually I just build the ad manually. So basically it would be one ad set for different variation, and then I let Facebook decide the winner amongst the creatives. Optimization. So basically, I'm not saying that you need to optimize on a daily basis, but you cannot afford yourself not to check the ad account on the ad level. People think that like if the performance is good on the ad set level, you do not need to turn off bad ads, but that's a wrong concept. Maxing its efficiency is actually just scaling the winners. It's also minimizing the losers. Also, in terms of the ads, so having a one ad in ad set is a hit or miss approach because you're forcing Facebook to spend the money on that variation. If you have 20 plus ad, that's again is overwhelming. Only reason when I will have 10 plus ads is in my Advantage Shopping Plus with all the winners, but I'm going to cover that later. So when you're testing, definitely stick between 3 and 6 ads. That's even suggestion from Facebook side. When there's no DPA campaign, and that especially works for the product that are selling multiple SKUs, people that are like into clothing, into toys, shoes, jewelry, stuff like that. So what I like to do is check how much it takes them to convert in time lag report in Google Analytics, and then I set up DPA campaign for that. For the problem-solving product, this is not really so effective campaign, but for all the multi-SKU store, this is amazing type of ad, especially where the product is self-explanatory. Not using UTM, obviously this doesn't have impact on the performance, but it has a huge impact on you analyzing the data. If you can have the data, then running the ads is just doesn't make sense, because Facebook ads are just a set of assumptions that you run the ad, you get the data, and you make new learnings, new assumption. Also, not using post ID, which in my eyes, this is like a lesson number 1. Basically, it allows you to carry the social proof when you're using the same ad in different campaigns or different ad sets. So if you have the same ad that's gathering 2 different social proof, you're basically starting from scratch, both in Facebook eyes and in users' eyes. There's still some ad accounts that I see running traffic or add to cart optimization and wondering why then they don't get purchased, although they have amazing click-through rate. Definitely do not run these to campaign time. Facebook is pretty good at giving you what you want. If you optimize for add to carts, you will get add to cart, but those would be cheaper than running on purchase, but you will not get sales. So definitely do not run that. Bad naming convention, again, something that doesn't have an impact on the performance, but it actually allows you to identify the data, analyze the data. And this is definitely something that I suggest. You can see my template for naming convention. Obviously for some of the clients, it's like even more detailed, but this is like the core setup that you need to use in your naming convention. And no bars excluded. This is one of the biggest mistakes. Most of my clients actually care about acquiring new customers. And if that's the case, then I exclude both purchase list 180 days and Klaviyo sync. That is kind of like double the protection, and it allows me to focus Facebook to go after only new people. Okay, cool. We now covered the numbers and we covered the most frequent mistakes. Let's jump into the most interesting part, ad account structure. So basically my ad account structure is pretty simple. I have one testing campaign and one Advantage Shopping Plus with cost cap as a core campaigns. And additionally, sometimes I have one campaign with audience and I have one campaign with sale ads, for example, here when we're running holiday bundles. The goal of this setup is to find a winning creative that's like foundation for the scaling. And testing, how I'm set up all of my tests. All tests is done with a broad audience, excluding buyers. As I said, my goal is to reach new customers. That's why I always include buyers. I test in an ABO where each new ad set is a new test. So basically, if I have a weekly 10 tests, then I would have 10 different ad sets. Each ad set is either grouped per angle, let's say anti-aging, anti-acne, per concept, or per creator. And then each ad set has 3 to 5 different variations of that creative. As I said, when it's video, it's mostly hooks. Sometimes it's a length of a video or a thumbnail. When it's an image, it's mostly different layout. I test everything with one ad copy and one headline because my goal is to find a winning variation within the concept. If I'm using different ad copies, different headlines, then it would result in kind of like not necessarily knowing if the creative is responsible for the result or ad copy. So in graphic way, it looks like this. So basically ABO, each ad set has its own budget grouped by similarity, and each ad set has multiple variation. The goal is to find one of these 3 winning that I would take the post ID and I would move to my scaling campaign. So actually in order to scale, we need a good trend of results under the target KPI. So basically, if I have good results on just day 1, I would not necessarily scale because that can be a fluke, that can be a hit or miss. So basically, I just need at least 2-3 days, some kind of trend, and I need at least 2-3 winning creatives. Basically, winning creative is something that's generating a lot of sales under my target CPA. If both conditions are met, I increase the budget in my testing campaign. So often my testing campaign is highest spending campaign just because I scale all the individual good tests. If let's say my general hit rate that out of 10 weekly tests I get only 1 winners, then I would not necessarily do ABO because that would result in a lot of wasted budget. In that case, I would try to use CBO, which would prevent me from losing money. But if my tests are good, which for most of my clients are, then I leverage ABO because then I can scale each individual good ad set. So you can see here that like all of these ad sets were launched with 100, but I managed to increase them so many times that like I got some of the ad sets to 2.5K, 2.7K, 700, 1K, just because the performance is still good as long as I scale them. So I launch all of my tests on Wednesday with $100 or $200. I evaluate them on Friday, first time. So basically, I check what's the performance. If there are some variations that are below the performance, then I would kill those. If I need to already scale some of those, I launch them on Wednesday because I want them to run through the weekend and I want them to get some data during the weekend as well. Then on Monday, I evaluate them again. And then let's say if I launch 10 tests, by Monday, I probably killed 1/3 of the tests. I scaled 1/3 of the tests and 1/3 is running with a similar budget where I just cut some variations. Campaign number 2 is where I take the winning ads and I group them by similarity, which in my eyes, it's called a bucket. So let's say if I have 3 whitelisting winning ads, or if I have 3 image ads, that's one batch. And then I would test that with multiple audiences. This is not necessarily so scalable, but it gives you additional revenue because you're just amplifying the winners and you are tapping different pocket of the audience. And campaign number 3 is something that I'm kind of like leveraging recently most for scaling is I take all the winning ads from my tests and I put them into Advantage Shopping Plus. You can see this is the campaign that last month spent the most. Basically, I put cost cap per product and Advantage Shopping Plus per product because if I have a product that with a different price point and I put a cost cap, Facebook can deliver that ads to the different product, which is maybe cheaper than the cost cap that I set is not necessarily profitable for me. That's why I have Advantage Shopping Plus per product. I put a customer cap between 0 and 5, depending to what extent my existing client wants to acquire new customers. I stick to 1 day or 7-day click attribution setting because I often found that Advantage Shopping Plus can do a bit more retargeting because you cannot exclude the visitors there. And when running on 1-day click, 7-day click, I'm ensuring that I'm getting the incremental sales. So it works like this. You can see this Advantage Shopping Plus. So basically this purple one is my testing campaign. As you can see where I started scaling all of those individual tests. This light blue is my audience campaign. You can see it's not really big scale, but it's a nice addition to the revenue. And this dark blue is my Advantage Shopping Plus with the cost cap. So what's happening? I realized that my conversion rate is always higher during the weekends, but I never was able to scale my testing campaign. You can see I tried here. In some cases, scale it more on the weekend, but I cannot assume how good the performance would be. So when I have a cost cap with 30K, in this case it was running with 30K budget, and I had a cost cap, basically it just spent more on a certain day. So let's say here on Tuesday it spent 5K, but then we got to the weekend and it spent 17K. And here it spends 30K. Why? Just because conversion rate is better. We know for this product, Q1 is really important for us and make up a lot of revenue. So we know there's a demand and we want to maximize the scale. That's why I put inflated budget and I let Facebook do the job. And you can see how much fluctuations there is in budget. And I'm okay with that. I just want to scale it over the weekend because I have these other two campaigns that are doing my business as usual. As I said, that scaling pretty much happens on a weekend due to the higher conversion rate. Okay, now we covered the ad account structure. I want to highlight something that had a big impact. Probably most of you guys already know it, but for most of my clients, currently like brand pages, like the brand page, brand name is just like 50% of the ads. Mostly we try to leverage third-party pages. Basically, we create a community or an expert type of page that under which we run ads to. That especially works great when you combine it with advertorials. It looks more genuine because it's not you promoting your product, it's actually someone else promoting your product. And usually these ads have higher click rate unless the brand is like very well known. That everybody recognizes it. This just feels more genuine. Another thing is that we leveraging is whitelisting. So basically, here's an old example that's still running, although it's like 4 years old. I don't care about the year. So it's not whitelisting ads that Facebook reps are pushing. It's not partnership ads that Facebook ads are pushing. It's whitelisting ads. Basically, it allows us to have more direct response copy because I can adjust the copy. If I'm using partnership ads, then I can just promote the ad they posted. When we are using whitelisting, the ad is not showcasing on their feed. And when you have a multiple whitelisters that you run ads through, then these ads can appear in the same session when you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. While you're running through the brand page, you can have only one ad from the brand. So that creates a sense that everybody is using the product, and there are multiple brands that we manage to scale with this whitelisting approach. In terms of the ads, I want to highlight that ad or the angle is doing the targeting, and that's super important to know. So we find out that like mostly when you're asking a question in the hook, you're getting both customers to identify and to qualify, and you're getting to Facebook to learn who's your target audience. For example, in this case, for a well-known 9-figure brand called Vessi, we had a hook that says like going traveling abroad, because we realized that most people that are using this product are actually travelers. So when you say yes, even just in your head, and you're the guy that likes to travel, like you're more inclined to watch the video. When more people that are traveling watch the video, Facebook learns, hey, people that are traveling are interested in this product, so let's serve this ad to more people that are traveling, even without us putting the traveling interest audience. This way, Facebook is doing the targeting, you're qualifying the users, and that works like a charm. Some other example of the hooks that you can use that are doing the great qualification that we find are working. As I said, question, but you want to ask the question so that people answer yes. Something that's oddly satisfying, so people like that due to the TikTok, because people like patterns, symmetry, repetition, but don't just like use random hook that's like a great pattern, like make it relevant to the rest of your video. Reverse shot. So for example, again, for the Woody, we had a guy that like kind of like is jumping in the shoes, but we kind of like reverse shot, or like you can for example, I saw for AG1 there's a bottle coming outside of the water. Definitely pattern interrupt, communicating the angle, that can again serve as a qualification. Again, hey, do you have a problem with oily skin? If you're the guy that like has problem with that like you're more inclined to watch the video. And definitely for all the skincare products, use face. Since the rise of UGC, people definitely want to see the person, and especially what is important, that you want to align the pattern, you want to align the user to your target audience. So if you're selling to boomers, then use a older lady in your video, not just some young lady. So although people say like hook is not irrelevant to your performance, I agree to an extent, but better thumb stop ratio, as long as the hook is not clickbaity, leads to the decent hold rate. And when you have an ad with a good thumb stop ratio and good hold rate, it results in good performing ad. Obviously, if you have an ad with a super clickbaity hook, you're going to have the bad hold rate, and that ad is not going to be performance. Some of the additional examples are if you're X, then for example, this case, if you're a football player, you have to try this. So if I'm playing soccer, then like I'm super interested in to watch this video until the end. Some additional hook, as I mentioned, like oddly satisfying. I just wanted to throw in example here. You can see the girl is putting her finger in like something that's super oddly satisfying and looks nice. And as I mentioned, AG1 reverse shot. An additional thing in terms of the hook, if you want to go a step forward, this is the hook generator based on the awareness stage, based on the obviously breakthrough advertising from Eugene Schwartz. This tells us what type of hooks you need to use in your ads to tap into different pocket of the audience. So obviously, if you're going to use just solution aware, if you're going to compare yourself to a different competitor, you're going to tap into this level of awareness. But if you're going to have some kind of personal story with like a secret journey session, that you're going to probably tap into more unaware audience. Obviously, those are going to be harder to convert, but down the road, they're going to allow you to scale a bit more. Now that I cover hooks, it's important to cover the thumbnails. For Duty, I realized that in dynamic creative, I launched same videos in two different tests, one with a broad audience, one with a Batman audience, because we were promoting Batman pattern. And I realized that like two different videos got most of the spend. Usually Facebook just picks one video that it would spend most of the money. But in this case, here it spends on V1, here it spends on V2. So I kind of like dive deeper to understand what's happening and realize that these ads that got most of the spend were using the thumbnails that I knew are getting always a lot of attention. So you can see this is a split screen of a brand and a collaboration, and this is a close-up. So I realized that Facebook is favorizing the thumbnail. Facebook is not favorizing the video, although people are mostly watching the videos on autoplay. So it got me thinking like how many good videos I tested because I kind of picked the wrong thumbnail. So I started testing thumbnail massively, and I realized these are some of the examples that are worked for me in different niches. So basically close-up of a face, close-up of a pattern, custom thumbnail when you don't have something interesting in your video, paint point with an X sign. So like no matter the video, when I choose this type of thumbnails, I was getting great results. So now going forward, I'm testing all of my videos by manually picking the thumbnails because I don't want Facebook to pick some random thumbnail. How to actually pick thumbnails? As I said, when I have a winner, I would test each of that winner with two different thumbnails. As I said, I would pick the thumbnail either that communicates the angle, which is often a first seen in the hook if you have that hook generator applied to your ad creation, one weird frame from the video that catches the attention, or a custom thumbnail, or one of the winning styles that I mentioned to you. Okay, now let's jump into the creative iteration. So creative iteration and analysis is not really possible without a proper naming convention. So that's why for all of my ads, I have specific naming convention that allows me to compare my performance per angle, per creator, per whitelisting. I can even compare whether my video editor A is working better than my video editor B. Unless you have a proper naming convention, it's going to be really hard to dig that information. I'm using motion for that, and obviously these are like some quick examples how to iterate on a winner. I'm iterating only on an ad that it is a winner or something that has a very high potential of improving the results. So I watch mostly thumbs up ratio and hold rate. Thumbs up ratio, obviously, everybody know 3-second video view with impression, but hold rate, some people calculate it with true play divided with impression, but I calculated with true play divided with 3-second video view. That allows me to compare my thumbs up ratio is just first 3 seconds and my hold rate is between 3rd and 15th second, because if I'm using the old calculation through the impressions, then my hook rate would impact my hold rate, and that's something that I don't want. So basically, easy way to iterate on a winner, same creator with the same messaging in a different setting, or slight iteration of the same messaging. So for example, this is one of the ad that we iterate. We realized that like when we mentioned that the professor from one university, that was like our winning hook. So we then just took the same variation of the messaging, like put it into 7, 9, 10 different ads, and like out of these 7, I got probably 2 additional winners that again allowed me to scale a bit more in the ad account. So when you have a winning hook, you just like try to find those small tweaks that would extend the lifetime of your winning ad. Additionally, how to iterate on a winner. Just take your winning video and put a meme style banner. Basically, it can be something like this, or it can be like, that fake TikTok widget comment. That works great. Additional idea is to use the same script but with a different creator. That's how we basically scale one of the brands that I'm managing. We found like amazing script that was crushing, and we just basically redistributed to the like 20-30 creators, and we got like additional 5-6 winners. Easy suggestion is speed up the video by 10%. And nowadays there are some AI tools that allows you to kind of like pinpoint what are the potential suggestions and how you can improve the ads. What I'm using is currently Atria. Before we wrap up, I just want to share some outside of the box ads. Basically, I read on Twitter someone said that like when they had a headline that's rhyming, that worked best. So we took that extra step and we put that into an ad on the image, and it worked great. Additional example is taking your winning image and put it with different color frame. So for example, from all of the tests that we tested, I realized that red has the highest CPM and the highest click, but often it has the highest conversion rate. I would not suggest this for all the regular tests, but only for the winning ads. Meme style, basically taking again winning static with a cute caption. You can see this ad printed a lot because it has 7.5K comments. This was an image that was winning for us even without the meme style. So when we put this, it just resonated way more. We obviously tested 5 different meme style messaging. This one was the one that ended up working the best. This is a great way to extend the lifetime of your winning ad. Founder ad, basically you just take a founder and like he tells the story how the brand or product was created. If you can whitelist it, that's even better because it feels way more genuine. Some additional interesting ads, carousel. Is a long form carousel. Basically that's one image divided into 4 or 5. It creates a unique experience on the feed because that's not something that you usually see, and we often find it works very good during the sale period. And here's a before and after carousel. I know a lot of people into health and beauty have problems with showcasing before and after, so when you put before image in one card of the carousel and after image in another card, that's kind of like bypassing the rules Facebook, and there is not usually this ad does not really get disapproved. So we wrapped up, guys. Main takeaways is like you need to know your numbers from the high level to the small details, basically from your net profit margin to your target ROAS per product with the custom conversion. Technical setup is like your foundation. So you want to keep your ad account clean and lean. You saw that I don't have too many campaigns. Definitely have proper testing structure because that's going to make or break your ad account. Make use of Post ID, manual bids, and Advantage Shopping Plus. Basically, I'm the guy that likes to use all of the tool from the Facebook toolboxes, and that's how I'm actually scaling. Focus on the creative because Angle is doing the targeting. Make sure to test different style of the creatives. Test different hooks. Creative needs to be diversified both in terms of the ad styles and in terms of the creators. Pay attention to your thumbnails, pick them manually, and definitely iterate on the winner because those are nice ways to easily extend the lifetime of your winning ads. Thank you for support, and yeah, if you have any questions, just reach out to me via email or on Twitter.